Overflow podcast together. Paul, can you introduce yourself and tell folks what you do?
Yes. Hi. Thank you. My name is Paul Ford. I used to be on the Stack Overflow podcast with Sarah, and I am now the president and co-founder of an AI-oriented software development startup called Aboard here in New York City.
I messed up today. What I meant to say is like, I meant to make like an aboard joke, like aboard the podcast today we had, but then now we got nothing. Can't run it back.
It's okay. It's okay. We have so much time to actually be funny and interesting, so we can get on that. We can get going and see how it's going. You know, what's tricky is, Becca, I don't know you as well. Like, I would just make fun of Sarah gently throughout the whole podcast.
Oh, you can still totally make fun of Sarah, and you can make fun of me too on the fly. Very open to that. So
good.
You only have context clues. You have the Vans t-shirt and the Liberty Championship magazine behind her.
Oh, and you have my Nintendo NES controller. I'll give you that. And that's all. That's all you know about
over to the other side of the Liberty magazine so people can see it.
Here?
So like a prop. Yeah.
Well, I can work with that. You just gotta give me time.
Great. Okay. So here's the idea. Here's the podcast default question. Paul, so on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is like full Skynet, where all batteries for the machines, and 10 is like, put the chip in my brain right now. I'm so hyped. How are you feeling when it comes to the world of AI right now?
I mean, it's such a cop out, but I'm a 5. I'm like a hard 5.
Yeah. Because you don't know yet.
It's not just I don't know yet. I'm just like, I don't buy Skynet because I actually don't think we can barely make computers work as is, right? Like, it's still hard to like move a file around. So that's a stretch. And then I'm not letting like Elon Musk near my brain. just not doing that. Or Sam Altman or Mark Zuckerberg. If it could just be like somebody who isn't a terrifying person wanted to put something in my brain.
What if it's like MIT or like Sloan Medical Center?
Now, because where's the money come from?
Elon Musk.
Yeah, you want some like Epstein chip in your brain? No, I'm not messing with any of that. No, I want if it was like a really nice lady who like used to be a nun.
I was just gonna say, like,
yeah.
What if it was a nice lady who worked at MIT who was like, listen, it's for science.
Possibly then,
because I'm a mom.
Sure, Sally. Let's do it. Let's do it. Absolutely.
Okay, great. 5 is good.
It is really tricky. Like if they put you in a room with like a nice mom who's like, I really think you need this chip in your brain. Which is, that's what therapists are doing with psychedelics now. Like, it's just like, well, maybe so.
Yeah, that's nice.
Who's to say? Sarah, can I ask you that same question and we can see how your answer changes over time?
Yeah, good question. I am a 6.
Okay.
I am I think things are going in a positive direction. I think the people at the wheel make me nervous. That's what I think.
Okay, so similar to Paul, if it was a nice lady, you would
Yeah. What about you?
I think I'm in the ballpark as you guys, although I'm maybe lower. Wait, so 10 is like put the chip in my brain and 0 is like stay away from me forever.
0 is like full Skynet. We're using humans as batteries.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm maybe like a 3 or 4.
Okay. Why?
Because at a very high level, philosophical part of my brain, I am very wary of. I just feel like anytime as a species we do something new with technology and we're like, this is gonna be fucking awesome, and like it is, but then there also are horrific unknown, unforeseen consequences. And so it's not that I think I think both are inevitable. I just want to see it play out a little bit more before I opt in that way.
I think that's fair. Have you guys seen Mountainhead yet?
No,
Yes.
what's that?
Yeah, don't watch it, Becca.
What is it?
It's
a-
yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
Pitch it to
All
me,
right.
Paul.
So it's did you watch Succession at all? Okay, yeah. So it's Succession, but it's the same guy, Jesse Armstrong, I think his name is, and he got Steve Carell and a couple of other folks as like tech zillionaires, and they all go to this guy's house called Mountainhead, and the Zuckerberg Musk alike has created an AI tool that generates video, and the world's gone mad because everybody's using it to start wars. And they're kind of all watching on their phones as this happens, and then it kind of spirals out from there. They get all the like accelerationist dialogue in, and they sort of like jam a lot of Silicon Valley culture in, but then it kind of got a little floppy at the end.
It falls off a cliff a little bit, but it definitely doesn't make you amped about the future. So if you're trying to feel better about your 4, it's not going to do it.
Okay,
no, it's true.
I think I should still consume all the information, so I will give it a watch and
report back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Paul.
What if a member? Sorry, what if a member of the New York Liberty came to you and was like, "Let's put a chip in your brain"? What if Ellie came to you?
Yes.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. I think we have to be the messenger is the problem right now, right? If you had like a lot of this is just bad. Like when it's Sam Altman, you're like, oh boy. But when if it was Ellie the elephant going like, "Hey, ladies,"
she would go like,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Yeah, and her trunk just slowly, like a Cat 5 cable comes out of her trunk.
Yeah. No, I'm in. I'm fully in.
Completely. Yeah.
You're
right. It's coming down to branding.
Yeah. All right. Well, at least we know. Hopefully, no one that can do something listens to this.
Contrary to popular belief, it's actually not about the technology. It's solely about the branding.
This is coming for us. Like ever cuter GPTs, just kind of adorably telling us to do more deep research. Like I think we're going to get there. But Sarah, I cut you off in order to
no, that was great. That was a good interlude. I was describing to Becca the way you taught yourself more about how AI worked, and I described it because Paul, I saw you talk about this at an event you had at your office, and I described it to her as unhinged, but I think you can describe it better. You had a practice that you did every night. We've been talking a lot about how like people are teaching themselves this stuff when it's crazy and things are moving so fast. How did you teach yourself?
Well, it doesn't feel that unhinged to me. So maybe I'm forgetting some detail that I shared, but
it was just judge of that, Paul. Okay.
Basically, I'm a very boring person, as everyone watching this podcast has now concluded. And I sat down every night with the same programming problem over and over again. And I would try to essentially rehearse it. Like it was almost like putting on a play. And I would try to figure out what I could do and what I could build and how to do it. And then I would figure out where I hit the wall, and then I would update my prompt. And I would just kind of come back every single day for months until I started to figure out where the boundaries are, because it's tricky because you get marketed so hard with this stuff, and it's sort of supposed to solve every problem, and it doesn't, but it is also very, very powerful. So I went in and tried to learn where the lines are myself. But Sarah, was there something specific that I did that was hilarious?
Yeah, well, what I think I heard you say is like you took the same problem and you worked to like both the environment you were using, like you were using a REPL based AI, correct?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm remembering that correctly. And then what I heard was like every night you were refining that prompt and making it better. And this was kind of like your meditation, which that's why I thought it sounded intense, because it was just like every night I'm doing the same thing. I felt like running up against the same wall and like just making it better, which I think is a good approach, but it's an interesting approach.
But the sad thing is that you're like, wow, that's a lot. And I was, yeah, okay. Yes, that's exactly what I did.
Just Paul, for clarity, essentially, are you saying what you were doing is each day you are giving Replit a prompt that you are refining over time to build something and see? Okay, and can you tell us what you were trying to make?
Actually, it wasn't Replit. It was Aider and then later Claude Code. So,
Okay.
but similar idea. And so what
Okay.
I would do, it was very, very simple workflow management, but sort of, it was meta. I was like trying to build almost like a prompt management tool because that's where my head was at.
Yep.
But so what did I really want to do? I wanted to build the full stack. I wanted to have it create an API, and then I wanted it to create the front end. And I got very, very far with the API. And what I learned that was important to me, and as later kind of come into practice more at the company, is that if you use, it's easier to think of this stuff as translation sometimes more than creation. So if you're translating your prompt into something that is very structured that a computer can understand. In this case, it was the OpenAI standard, and which used to be called Swagger, which is this very like straightforward definition. You can use YAML. I think you can also use JSON, but it's like this very like straightforward way of describing an API top to bottom. And so once you have that, you have an API. And working backwards from that, I realized that if I had to come up, like everybody knows that AI is really good at coming up with SQL schemas, like it'll define a database for you. And so you define the database, and now the database is there. And then you say, okay, make that into an OpenAI description of the database. And then there are tools that turn that into a live API. And then you point you say, now choose this component toolkit.
When you're defining the database, are you essentially like is your practice when you say that like, hey, these are the things that I want my product to store in the database. It's this, and this, like structure. These things need to be related to these things. Come up with a schema and see what it puts out, or like how do you typically do that?
It's a couple months ago, so I'm sort of reconstructing as we go. But it was a little bit of that, and a lot more like I also needed to handle. It was like I am building a tool to manage prompts and store the output from calling the ChatGPT API or calling the Claude API. I need you to define a schema for that, but also define ways that users can log in and create a history table and so on. And then continually editing and revising that until it started to produce. And part of it is like, I'm the judge here and I'm 20 some years, 25 years into coding. And so it was just sort of like, I could see where it was breaking really clearly. It was kind of anti-vibe coding. It was like, okay.
You were like your own eval set, essentially.
No, I am. And you just give it feedback. What I found is like, okay, if I take the SQL and I add comments to it, so then you'd be like, all right, you add the comments to it, bot. Tell me you start adding more context to the SQL so that I can turn it into a better API and so on and so forth. And I should actually, like, just to kind of jump ahead, I'll plug me and the company now because it's relevant. This was all in service of trying to figure out, we had this sort of data startup that we were building. It was very like data, but what if it was as easy as Pinterest to manage your data? And we'd launched our product and AI came.
Intriguing proposition.
No, for real. And it's one of my co-founder and I kind of looked at each other and we're like, oh, well, that was that, right? Like we have to figure out what to do with this new thing, because I watched it write Python and then I had to convert like COBOL to Java and just sort of all this random stuff where I was like, if this gets better, everything changes. And so we pivoted. And by the time this is out, actually, the new version of the site will be out with a live demo. But we realized that if you take our approach to organizing data and put an AI front end into it, you could describe business software and kind of spin it up very quickly. And it would have, and what it spins up is very, very normal software like TypeScript, React. It's got an Elixir backend. It's got a Postgres database. So if you know what those words mean, they're boring words. Actually, they're nice, safe words.
Wait, can I repeat back to you what you just said to make sure I understood that?
Please.
Exactly. So basically what you're saying is, if let's say I'm a business, I can spin up front end, let's say web applications for my unique use cases, but using your back end. And I'm assuming like my proprietary data somewhere.
Well,
yeah. Okay. Interesting.
so you say, I need a CRM for managing this specific kind of company and so on, or I need a inventory manager, or I need, sort of all the various businessy things you need. And it spins up a data model, it spins up a front end, and it presents that to you. And then there are things you can continue to do kind of with AI to modify that. But there's also kind of a cutoff point where we go, okay, humans will help you now. And because the reality is that despite all the promises, there is kind of like a hard line where it's diminishing returns to just try to get the bot to do everything.
Can I ask you a follow-up question about that? One of the if you have a product development flow, let's say, that starts with AI code generation and then is handed off to humans, how do you deal with the like like bugs and like refactoring you might have to do and technical debt that is collected over time based on the entity that was creating it? Or is that not so much of an issue because it got spun up and is being used and that's the goal?
No. It's exactly the right question. This is where the humans get involved. So we spin up essentially kind of a blueprint that describes the entire application. AI is great at this. The blueprint is a wonderful kind of like demilitarized zone because you can edit it with a mouse. It's JSON. You can go in and you can like tweak it with a text editor. You can edit it with an editor interface, or you can keep using the chat window and kind of keep describing how to modify the blueprint. AI does not write code in our system. The code is like written. It's a component library. It's a set of systems. We have a way of talking to Postgres. A classic old school would be familiar to any one process recursively walks that giant blueprint and turns it into an application kind of continually. And then that helps with things like migrations and version control of the app and so on. This is us being kind of old business people as opposed to cool AI people. It's way more like the AI is I'll give you my slogan that I keep repeating, which is AI is amazing at the first mile because it seems human, mile because it's not, right? It's all that last mile stuff, all the bugs and the processing, marketing needs to promote it, and we needed to do this, that, and the other. Like, you kind of still need people in the loop. They can be greatly accelerated by classic coding tools or using sort of our framework or whatever. But like, I don't know anybody who would necessarily trust their business to an AI generated app. Yet.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think I've seen that a bunch. The like not the final mile. So you were doing this like, so take us through. You were doing this every night, like your nightly AI meditation, and then that got you to the point where you were like, okay, this is like, we were building data. We were focusing on data. This whole world has like come crashing down on us. We need to switch to this other product. What was in the middle there? Like, what about like your learning process made you think, oh, okay, this is what we need to build?
So our head of engineering, Adam, my co-founder, Rich, and me met every day. And we were all on this journey. Like Rich was way more focused on kind of like modeling the entire agency style experience and like making the documents work. Adam was very sort of focused on sort of accelerating coding. And I was interested in kind of like, what could the full stack feel like? And so we compared notes. I would actually really recommend that, even though it's hard for technologists to just talk and communicate with other people sometimes, because you get the perspective. No one has the same interpretation of this tool, right? Like of these frameworks.
Of LLMs. AI. Yeah.
No, yeah. LLMs just produce very sort of custom output based on what you put into them. And so you learn way more quickly. And I think that's, to me, the danger. Like, one of the worst things I think you can do early days is just read here's 100 prompts documents, because they actually really limit you. It feels like you're about to get empowered, but like your problems are probably way more specific, and there's things that it could do for you. And then it's sort of like anything else. So you're going through this process and you start to, again, it's like, it seems to have absolutely no limit. It can do everything. But then when you really, really stop getting amazed by it, you realize it's very, very bad at a lot of things that it appears to be doing really, really well.
Yes, 100%.
And
Yeah,
you have
but it'll
to,
make you feel good about it.
it does for a minute, but then you start to get emails that are written in AI, or you talk to professors who are getting AI papers, and like everybody's just like fried. They're just kind of fried by it because it's like bad CGI art from back in the day. Like you're just like, it looks so neat at the time.
Yeah,
Or
it's
like-
like the uncanny valley of AI.
Yeah.
The analogy I think about a lot is like when, things like WordPress or Squarespace or like Canva enabled people to, like normies like me, to create like websites that look professionally designed or graphics that look professionally designed, but it also sort of like smushes down the variety of creativity of things that you get in the output there. It democratizes it, but it doesn't necessarily democratize like the ability to create those things at the level like a very creative professional would. And
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I think about, Sarah, your company was it JewelBots? Was that right?
Yeah.
Like JewelBots actually shouldn't have too creative of a website because you don't want to get in the way of the JewelBots.
it's a good point.
Right. So like, I actually think the generic stuff is totally fine. It's just that you're making a choice. That's all. Like, I think people just often don't know they're making a choice. And then a lot of times, I think what is tricky too is all the marketing, all the communication. It's like, Squarespace, you're now a total web genius. And then people are like, cool. When do I get all my money? When do I get my,
hire 10 engineers? Yeah.
Yeah. And and I think we're seeing that with AI now, right? And I think we're going to see more and more of it. The framing that I'm really into is like, you get your thing. Like I'll talk to somebody at like a not-for-profit and they'll be like, I have this one report that I really need to have run every 6 months. And it takes me 2 weeks to cut and paste the data, even though it's already in Salesforce, because our people don't have the resources to run the report generator. Like we're kind of out of money for this kind of problem. And I'm like, boy, is that a perfect candidate. Like if you had a nice LLM interface to that, you could say, go get this data, extract it, make it into a nice report, and do that every 6 months. And you can kind of see, if you've used these tools, why that is a relatively low risk proposition. Like it'll probably work if you have the right sort of a little bit of coaching. And then that problem goes away. And it's now like a 3-week problem and no one will find the 3 weeks. And that problem goes away in like 2 hours forever. Yeah. And so that, to me, everybody can have their thing. That'll be a totally generic report. Nobody will care about it. And there's literally thousands of things like that in every organization that everybody's been told they can't have. And so I kind of wonder if like we're not going to see, like everybody wants to send engineers home, and it's fair because we're annoying. But like at the same time, I kind of wonder if you're not. Yeah. Oh, wow, Jesus. That is a different conversation, isn't it? I will say, I do think overall engineer hygiene has dramatically improved in the last.
Dramatically improved. Yeah. There used to be, Becca, a whole community called the Ruby on Rails community, and everyone smelled like patchouli. But like that patchouli that was like masking something clearly.
Okay, let's go the other direction. What's the best smelling programming language?
That's
I can tell you that Vercel people all smell very good, especially people that work at Vercel, and they all wear black all the time. So that's that's the most, like, there's never been a company I've seen that's full of engineers that has like style opinions.
Vercel.
Yeah.
But what is the smell? I mean, it's not,
it's like an oud, like the oud.
Yeah. Oh, so like a sandalwood vibe.
What?
Like
sandal.
Yeah. Okay, I get this actually. No, because it can't go too far, right? It's not going to be. It's not designed. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. So that brings me to an interesting question. Like talking about like the Canva model, so you're kind of like building something on top of AI, which is a little bit the Canva model. Of like, okay, like I heard you describe it like twice now as like old business guy problems. Like the
Old
And
business person problems.
person problem, old business person problems.
I'm
And
an
the
old business guy.
guy.
That's
Okay,
the, yeah.
great. You're an old business guy.
But we
Old
want
business-
everybody.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe even the young business people, but they might be more, I don't know. They don't have budgets. The old business person problem, like you're targeting, I imagine, people that aren't just gonna like aren't jumping in Claude Code, like haven't done that yet. But what, like, where do you decide? Because there's like such a spectrum of like, okay, we'll do everything for you, or like we'll do these two specific things for you. How did you all decide, and how did you pick the technology to support that?
Well, I mean, I used to run an agency. I did for many years, and I was always in services before that. And we tried. I think we took our consumer swing, and we were like, and then we got right up. We actually wrote the credit card processing function for the older version of our product, and then we went, what are we doing? Like, right, like we know how to build complicated things for complicated organizations. Like if you're in New York City and you see and you're waiting for the train and it says it's 3 minutes away on that sign, that was something we helped build. Like we helped build and deploy that. Yeah. So level
That's
a real
great fun fact.
Yeah, no, that, I mean, that is like, and things for, and all the way to like big banks and big not-for-profits and all that. And that's kind of where we are and what we understand. And then there was another aspect, which is, I don't have the ability to quickly turn the camera around, but we have an office here, which literally I see New York City kind of getting eaten by AI and not realizing it, because the Valley has once again like figured it out and is going to kind of hold all the value for itself. And I think about big organizations here and industries here where it really is going to be fundamental. It's going to be fundamental for publishing. It's going to be fundamental for finance. NGOs in particular, a huge sector here in government. And like, they're not ready for kind of what could happen. A good example would be like all legacy code can be processed a lot more quickly. And so that system that like you won't touch in COBOL that's 45 years old is now, you could go back to that again. It might turn out that it's 1/10 the budget of what it used to be. And so like, I want to make a space for that. And I want to make, and I want to help organizations, because I think that they have the most impact, kind of do really complicated things. And it's who I am. It's who my business partner is. And so we kind of had that conversation, and then this thing lands, this alien sort of shows up, and we're like, we have to figure out how to metabolize this into what we do. And then what we realized, actually, look, if I'd found a way that I could spin up a true business application by pushing a button and doing it purely with prompts, I would have done it. Like, I think that that's coming. Like if that could happen, I'd rather be the person to do it than somebody else. But I think there's just hard limits to where you can get by typing words into the box and waiting for the LLM to figure out what you meant. And so
what are those limits right now?
That is a very good question. I think that subtlety is hard, right? And so like certain things that you would think would be really complicated, like many-to-many relationships and databases, and also things that people actually tell us will be really hard, are not that hard. Like you can, because you figure out the pattern and it's hard and it might take you a couple weeks, but then you figure out how to like describe it. And then it does it every time thereafter. And that's very much like programming. I think all aspects of subtle user interface change are still require human. You can't just sort of be like, apply a theme, good luck. All very complicated issues of migration, legacy data, external API integration, things like that, like sort of the ugly things that make a business. We get this data and it comes to us in a spreadsheet every Tuesday and so on. Like working around those processes, you can automate and accelerate a lot of them, but they just don't come out of the box by asking an LLM to make sense of them. It sure can help. Like I do think there's probably like 3x acceleration on stuff like that. And eventually more and more of it will fall. Like we're not done yet. But as of today, I think you can get a really great working prototype with real data. I think you can get a certain amount of software that is pretty useful that you can show to your team that people can try. And then I think it really involves some conversation.
Kind of like a hello world. Like it seems like it's in the hello world phase of like, because like, yeah, where like you can make a demo, but then getting past that and some more complicated use cases you have to intervene more and on the level you might not be used to.
Well, if I can get just like a tiny bit meta, the concept, not the company.
Yeah.
We'll allow it.
Yeah, I think um, I came out of journalism. Like software is a cultural artifact that represents like the needs of a community at its best, right? Sometimes they just jam Salesforce in and they say good luck, but for the most part, like software evolves out of what people need and want.
Hmm.
And how could you do that just talking with an LLM by yourself in a room? Like even if the LLM writes most of the code 5 years from now, you're still going to have to figure out what you need. And maybe the future is I just like kind of lie on the ground and talk into my phone and say, make me an app that, um, I don't like, maybe that's it. Maybe it's like, I want a word processor, but it should have a cat. Like, I mean, just like, I don't know what we're going to become, but I don't think so, because it turns out that all the margins and everything that people do is actually kind of subtle. Like that's most things are not simple, especially in business. And so
What do
I
you
just,
mean by that? That like the margins are subtle? Like, can you give me an example?
yes. I mean, what I'm actually saying is that a lot of businesses look alike, and a lot of, I mean, the difference between like two writers or two moving companies, and one moving company is all about volume. Like they advertise everywhere, they spend a ton of money on marketing, they analyze their funnel really carefully, and then they close as much business as possible, and they have a lot of trucks, and they have an ad hoc network of trucks that shows up, and blah 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 blah. And then the other one is really high end, and they market much more strategically. They focus on moving things like art, and they're going to charge a pretty serious premium. They'll make way more money per engagement, but they will make but they won't have anywhere near the volume of the first one,
Mhm.
because they kind of can't, like the market won't bear it. And over 20 years, these have evolved into one person could go and work at the other, but it might not actually succeed organically. It's like when somebody comes from Google and comes to another startup, which I've seen happen like 30 times. And they're just like mutants at that point. Like they're just like, where is my blue bottle coffee and my enormous file system? I need those two things in order to even, use the bathroom at this place. And you're like, oh crap, like we don't know what to do with you. And everybody thought it would be a miracle. Like the giant company would bring its wisdom. And they thought it was going to be great. And then it's a disaster. And so like, it's that they're all the margins and all the things that make a business special and unique are where, and that's how they make their money, are really hard. A lot of times people can't even articulate what they
I see
are
what you're
or why.
saying. So it's not, you can't just like cut and paste or copy and paste a prompt to generate an application that works for every moving company business.
No, I
There's
mean,
a lot of nuance that or context that the model needs in order to do it effectively for your business, but humans aren't used to or really good at describing that nuance yet.
so look, we're launching something that tries to help with that. But the way it works is that you might say, I need a customer relationship management system for my moving company. Now the second sentence is the really important one. And the second sentence, because it'll just build, you can hit return, answer a couple questions, it'll build you that. But the second question, or the second statement, is like, we move a lot of really high-end art, and I need a way to track each individual piece of art and track the insurance on each individual piece of art. I'll need to upload a lot of PDFs and documentation per object, right? And they'll come to you, like the way that SaaS works and the way that classic software works is like, these people tend to be, when you talk to them, they're like, there is absolutely no way that I can use Salesforce or I can use Pipedrive or whatever to build this, because I need that custom insurance PDF upload function is my entire business. It's without it, I might as well just stick with Google spreadsheets and the Z drive or Dropbox. And I do think like they can start to have more and more of their stuff, and so they can have really good custom software. That's what we're trying to solve. And you can demo it on the website, but like they can have really good custom software, but then getting that exactly right for them, taking that and like that doesn't exist. Like that insurance form upload tool doesn't exist in any off the shelf thing. So now the AI assembles it and it looks pretty good and it kind of works, but there's always going to be a tweak. Like, well, I really want to track the name of the insurance firm, or we always work, actually we work with like 3 insurers of record, and one is Sally and one is Sam. And I need to the Sally and the Sam things actually have to be handled differently because of billing. It always goes like that. And there's kind of nothing off the shelf. And I think you're going to be able to tell the bot to a certain point, but at another point, I think you just going to want to talk to a person, like one of you two.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense because a lot of people don't know about that second sentence. Like they don't know it. And so like guiding them through, I think makes a lot of sense. But one thing, I know we're getting close on time. I have my one last question. I know Becca, you may have a question, but what are you using under the hood? What, and how did you decide? Are you using something open source? Is it like Llama? Did you make your own? Which would be wild.
You change it.
Can you imagine?
Do you change it up often?
We have tried all the different ones, and it's less about the content produced. So on the back end, the front end is what you would expect, like lots of nice modern web technologies. On the back end, it's a lot of OpenAI and ChatGPT, but not because of the quality of the LLM. It's because their JavaScript output, when you ask them for data, is the most reliable of the LLMs.
Yeah.
Claude may have caught up by now, but for the most part, the kind of problems we're solving are more about lots of round trips and sort of nice, really cleanly structured JSON output that we can parse and do things with, and less about some sort of LLM magic. I think that for us, it's a commodity, frankly. It's services on top of the commodity is what matters for us to be able to do the work.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Becca, anything else from you before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I have a question that has nothing to do with AI.
Great.
Okay. Paul, this is inspired by my Nintendo NES controller. What is your favorite nostalgic technology memory?
Oh, it's easy. It's the Amiga 1000 computer. Absolutely blew my mind.
What is that? How old were you? Set the scene.
Well, how much time do we have?
I got nothing.
Yeah, okay. I'm just hanging out. So
okay, so I grew up in a town, Westchester, Pennsylvania, that was just almost coincidentally the headquarters of Commodore Computer, and yes, wasn't a California company. And so where most people had Apple experiences as their first computer education, we had Commodores everywhere. And so I learned to type on a Commodore 64 in middle school, on and on. And then Commodore came up with its Mac killer. It was called the Amiga. And we got it, I was maybe 12 or 13. And it's still a computer that people are oddly really passionate about. It was this one really specific moment. It had a lot of color. It became something that could be very visual. It was a very creative machine. And it just blew my mind. And it was I learned everything. I learned programming. I learned photo editing. I learned, I learned how to write on it. And so everything that kind of came to my life later really did come out of that machine. And I really thought for many years that I just was a big old nerd and I'd had this one particular experience. But it actually turns out that box in particular, the Amiga line before it went out of business, was this incredibly transformative kind of cult-like machine, especially in Europe. And people just absolutely loved it. It had some very advanced programming, it had advanced sort of library management and sort of really, really special stuff. And so that to me is just a world of joy. And I got really into retro computing and really into kind of sort of doing it. But then I did decide to put it away, and I was I need to do something that isn't retro computing. And then I got into synths, which is just more retro computing, just with more analog. And so now that's where most of my extra.
I have one follow-up question, which is, at the time when you have your Amiga and you said you learned how to code, how what resource did you use? Are you like going to the library and like checking out like a book that teaches like what did you do?
Telegram, how do I?
Yeah.
No, do you have 1 minute? I'll go get the resource. Yeah, hold on.
Really? Okay, yeah. He's going to the scrolls, Sarah. He's
Yeah.
going to the scrolls.
Dust them off.
The Library of Alexandria. Oh. Hell yeah.
That's a great background.
As an aside, I've been reading coding books myself too.
Like
Python, like the thing that has the bird on the cover.
Yeah, the ones with the animal, the O'Reilly books. Yeah. Wow.
Well, there's some good stuff in there. Turns out.
Okay, friends.
Yay! Show us what you got.
Whoa!
Oh my god, that's cool.
Can you like open it up so we can see like a page?
Oh yeah, hold on. So here's the deluxe paint. This was the thing it came in.
Wow.
Yeah, everything about it. So this is how you learned. Introduction to Amiga.
That is amazing.
And so I've got A Basic, and then Amiga Basic, which was the one I learned. And yeah, just a lot of this.
Wow.
And it's just like you're just basically going through that page by page and kind of like learning the computer.
And things were sometimes incorrect, and things were people actually, it's funny. I have the similar thing for the Commodore 64. We have some nice retro computing stuff at the office, and people remember errors on given pages because they struggled with them so much. They're like, they would try and try and try, and they couldn't make it work. And then they realized that it was this very important moment for a young person to realize that like the thing that was handed to you might not be perfect. That the world actually, that you actually have to verify. You can't just trust. No, I think, and you would get any piece of code you could, and you would read it, and you would cut and paste it, but there were no video tutorials. It was just hours of play, except that you weren't online. So like there's 4 to 6 hours in the 80s, there's 90s, there's 4 to 6 hours in an adolescent's afternoon life where there's no signal coming in except maybe TV or radio, or they go see friends, or they go play basketball or whatever, but there's no messages coming to you. So you got to do something with that time. And computers are great.
That's
amazing.
That's very poetic.
If you told that kid that one day they would just like tell the computer what they wanted and in regular language, and it would give it to them, they'd be blown away, I'm sure.
I don't know though. I think we all thought it would be here a lot sooner.
Oh yeah,
that might be fair. That might be true.
There is a video from the 90s that Sun Microsystems made, which is exactly LLM style interaction. It's just this woman talking. She's like, make it blue and make the car drive around, and so on, as she's getting her demo together. And it has 90s fashion. I can dig it up for you. It's delightful.
Well, great. We'll link it in the comment.
One last thing that what you just said reminded me of, Paul, but also relates to what you were saying earlier about why it's hard, why getting an output from an LLM that is what you're envisioning in your mind's eye is difficult, is like the data transfer from your brain via words to something else is like very lossy.
Yeah, it is very lossy.
Well, and the whole process is lossy. It's basically just like a really bad database. It just happens to be like have all of human knowledge compressed inside of it. And so, but no, that's completely real. Like the whole process is really, really lossy. And this is the hard thing is explaining that. I mean, it's good you guys are doing this podcast. But like, it's really, really hard to explain that this thing is simultaneously broken and useful.
That might be our new tagline: a very bad database with all of human knowledge inside of it.
Yeah, that's right. And it just spews out. I've been trying to figure out how to explain it to like civilians, right? It's really, really hard because all they know is it talks to them.
Yeah. Great. Well, Paul, how should people find you? Should they find you? And how can they find out about a board?
First of all, do you want to be found?
I'm very findable, less so on X these days. I still have the handle F-Train on a lot of stuff, but the easiest way to find me is just go to aboard.com, ABOARD. That's good. I can spell the company name.com.
Yeah.
And check it out. Try the demo, see where it breaks. Let us know what you think. I really want to know. It keeps getting better, and I really like the feedback. Paul.ford@aboard.com. I'm very findable. I'm happy to talk to everybody. We host events. We're really glad to see everyone. And so,
Awesome.
yeah, no, doors are always open. So if anybody wants to talk, please get in touch.
I want to come hang out and look at the retro computer stuff.
You can. I have a Commodore 64. Nothing's plugged in. Are you a big retro computing nerd?
I mean, aspirationally, yes.
Okay. I'm going to just give you the word Mr. Just type in Mr. Retro computing.
Okay.
And
see what happens.
An absolute world will open.
Okay. Whoa.
Great.
Sarah, you heard it here first. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah. Just
Great.
not necessarily copyright compliant, but an absolute world.
Great.
Great. Well, thanks for being our first guest, Paul. Thanks for joining
Paul.
us.
I loved it. Thank you. Anything you need, you let me know.
Great. It was great to see you.
Same here.
Great to meet you, Paul.
Great to meet you, Becca. Okay, bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Nice.
Cool.
Whoa, Paul was our first guest. Paul was great.